There are no accidents, of course. So it's not by accident that you came here. And I'm happy to talk about my work and about myself here and what inspired me to come to Auroville and how my journey has been.
Theater is making something out of nothing. You start with nothing. Sometimes you don't even start with a script, you just start with nothing. And then at the end you have something. And that's the act of creation. It's magic. How can you make something out of nothing? Every time I start a play, I wonder how I'm going to make something out of nothing. But in the end, there it is. It's magic.
Hi guys, welcome to Enlighten with Nehha. Today we have a very, very special guest, Jill. She's the director of Auroville Theatre Group. She's been into direction for the last 4 decades. Huge experience, done about 40 to 50 plays, originally from the US. Shifted into India in about, 96.
First visit to India in 1987. And came to stay in Auroville 1990.
Right. So she's here today to enlighten us with her journey with her milestones, which has transformed her life, so that you can inspire the other artists with your experiences.
Nice.
And save the effort.
Nice idea.
So please, yeah.
Well, thank you for thinking of me. And there are no accidents,
Of course.
So it's not by accident that you came here. And I'm happy to talk about my work and about myself here. And what inspired me to come to Auroville and how my journey has been.
It's an honor.
Thank you.
Please, how did you begin this journey of being an artist and direction?
I was in my first play in the 2nd grade. I'm originally from the U.S. Grew up in New York, in Brooklyn, so I'm a Brooklyn girl. And I've come a long way from Brooklyn.
As a super.
Yeah. So I was in my first play in 2nd grade. I was playing Gretel in a performance of Hansel and Gretel, which I still remember very fondly. I can remember we had to leave the breadcrumbs behind so that the bird, so we could find our way back home. But then a bird came behind us and ate up all the breadcrumbs. So we were lost in the woods.
Okay.
The story goes on, of course. It's a Grimm's fairy tale, I think. And that was my first experience of being in front of people performing. And I got applause at the end.
Yeah.
So I thought in my 2nd grade mind, I thought, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
I'd like to do more of this.
Yeah.
When you
you can be how the frictionless.
Yeah, thank you. I was trying to say, So that was my first experience in front of an audience. And I had fun. I enjoyed it, and people seemed to enjoy it.
Sure.
So that's a great start. And then, because I was fortunate enough to be in New York, I got to see lots of plays in my youth.
Sure.
I saw the original production of Funny Girl with Barbara Streisand, and I saw Marat on Broadway. I got to see a lot of shows.
Right.
And the lovely thing about that time was that my mother and I would go on a Saturday or Sunday to the city, New York City.
The fancy city,
And we would go shopping, have lunch, and go to a show, a matinee.
Right.
And I loved it. I loved the experience because me and my mom were together. And so I equated at an early age the prospect of theater, seeing theater, doing theater with love.
Yeah.
That basic
Passion.
feeling was there. My mother and I were close. And here we were doing this thing together.
Right.
And so I loved doing it. And so I grew to love theater.
Sure.
And when I was in junior high, I was in a production of Gilbert and Sullivan, Mikado.
Oh, wow.
The Mikado is one of the three sisters.
Nice.
And Gilbert and Sullivan, Mikado.
Oh, wow.
The Mikado is one of the three sisters.
Nice.
And funny story about that. We had these paper umbrellas, these Japanese umbrellas.
Yeah.
And a certain moment on stage, we were dancing, and my umbrella opens.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so I had to think very fast. What do I do? Your audience started to laugh, of course. So I took the umbrella and I put it behind me. It was a chorus behind us.
Okay.
And so I just handed it back. And my mother said she could see the umbrella going back and back and back and back until somebody pushed it under the back curtain.
Oh, God.
I mean, these are things you
I know.
remember, no?
Yeah.
With fondness.
Fond memory.
Fond memories. And in my high school, we had a competition called Sing, S-I-N-G.
Okay.
And the 4 grades were asked to write their own play with music and dance and original production.
Right.
And then we had a competition. Every year we would perform and then we would be chosen who was the winner of the competition.
Sure.
So I was involved in that. In summertime in day camp, when I went to day camp, we had camp counselors who put on shows. So I was in that.
So you didn't leave any opportunity.
So it felt like I've always been doing theater. Yeah. Somehow with my mom.
Like at the age of 4?
8 or 9.
Wow.
All the way. Yeah, we were very lucky because we had also in my high school the daughter of Joseph Kapp, who at that time his last name was Pepperovsky. And Joseph Kapp, as many people know, is the founder of the public theater in Manhattan, a very, very famous, wonderful theater. So I grew up in this milieu, encouraged to perform, to write, follow my heart, which I think is wonderful.
Yeah.
Although one of my teachers told my mom she should go to the Performing Arts High School because she has a talent for singing.
Okay.
At that time, I was singing also.
You were singing.
I wasn't singing. I was in Oklahoma. To play the comic character, the Annie. And my parents, I could see they were a little bit, they said, well, we don't know, maybe, but. So I was not encouraged to go to the High School of Performing Arts in New York.
Okay.
They considered it too risky.
Yeah. Yeah, at that time.
They considered it too risky. No, we don't want it. It's a profession that has its risks.
And very unprotected, especially for the girls.
Yeah. So I was encouraged to do something safe, like be a teacher.
Yeah.
So that's where I went. But my heart was always in theater and performing and taking English as my major subject and education as a minor. So I got a degree in English and minor in education. And then the Vietnam War happened. And at that time, I was writing poetry.
Oh.
So I actually wrote poetry for 10 years.
Really?
Yeah, I was always before I was into professional theater.
Which year was that?
Oh, God.
I mean, I'm making you joke.
It's okay. I went to live with my partner at that time in Canada because he was resisting the drought. Mm-hmm. We were in Canada from 1968 to 71.
Okay.
And there I met other poets. We started a little coffee shop on the weekends called the Soft Cell.
Oh, nice.
And we invited some of the best poets in Canada to come and read their work. And that weekend, very nice. All the chocolate chip cookies you could eat. And
that is beautiful. That's poetry and food. Yeah.
That's it. So it was a great experience and to go out a little board and share with it. After a year of doing that, we decided, no, let's do something else. So I have some friends who became published poets, and I also published some small magazines. And then, let's go forward because you only have, I have a long life.
Yeah. So from there, we can cut to India.
Oh, that's a long way ahead.
Or whatever you want.
So, in 1987, I had the opportunity for the first time to come to India. I was living at that time in Washington, D.C. Mm-hmm. I was one of the founders of a theater group called the Sanctuary Theater. Mm-hmm. And my co-founders were Elizabeth Bruce and Michael Oliver. And I have to talk about them because they were, my buddies and my mentors. And we did what we call environmental theater or physical theater. Really. We had our own space.
For people who don't know what exactly is environmental theater.
Environmental theater says that beyond the stage, there's a performance area which you can use to tell your story. You don't have to tell the story on what's called a stage. That everything can be a stage.
Oh, wow.
You can perform in abandoned buildings, you can perform in parks.
Oh, got it.
You can perform at rooftops, you can perform anywhere that's suitable for the story you want to tell.
Got it. And physical theater is the proper
action. Yes. So we did that. We started our own theater in Washington.
Yeah.
And I was one of the 3 founders of that theater. We had a great opportunity. We decided we would do multicultural theater.
That's what brought you to India.
And everybody at that time said, no, you can't do that. And we said, why not? Let me do that. And because in Washington, all of the embassies are located in D.C. And so a lot of people from many different countries are located. And we thought that's our audience,
Yeah.
And we've made great friends. We had a wonderful friendship with the Ethiopian theater group who did Chekhov. And so people would say, yeah, but you can't do that. I said, yes, we can.
We are doing
That's what we're doing. So, there's a lot of prejudice in
to break the conventions.
To break the conventions.
Yeah.
Black people play Chekhov and Shakespeare and everything else.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So we had our theater group, and then I met a fellow who was traveling, and he and I came together to India in 1987. And then he knew something about Auroville.
Okay.
Because we had been in touch with a young Tibetan boy who had grown up here.
Oh, nice.
We have a Tibetan community inside.
Right.
And he was interested. He said, let's go to this place, Auroville. I've heard about it. And he met Lobby through the time he lived in Kathmandu. And so John was teaching English in Kathmandu. And he met Lobby, who had grown up in Auroville. So when we
want a connection,
when we came down to the south, my friend John said, let's go and check this place out. So we came and looked around, and 1987, where he was half of a Machu Mandir. The inner skin, the inner structure of the concrete Machu Mandir was there. And there was about 500 people at that time here, I think, more or less.
Mostly jungle, mostly like forest.
Well, wait, let me think. Because during the course of the next years, people planted trees. So actually, it was not what we see here now. It was a desert. Yes, it was wider of little Salvera trees. You could see from here, you could see all the way to the ocean. Yeah, all the way to the Bay of Bengal. From Latimer there, you could see. So basically, there are millions planted, these millions of trees that you see here now. But it was really desert. And you can, yeah, I don't think many people know this because the way it's come off, it looks like, yeah, it looks now like it's not, but it's not. And it has through the efforts and the hard work of the Auroville. There are two things that we had to do. We had to plant trees for shade. We had to dig wells for water, or else we couldn't survive, you know. So that was the work of the formative. Let's build a place where all people of all nations can come and live in human unity and express a real living embodiment, as the charter says, of an actual human unity.
That's so beautiful.
And I thought, that resonates with me. I had even thought in my youth sometime of going to a kibbutz in Israel. You know, and I had, I don't know, some image of building a better life for myself somewhere that would include people from all over the world.
Oh, you had that sense.
I had that sense. Yeah.
Probably that kind of brought you your.
Yeah, exactly. And then 1990, in the early part of that year, I came back and I stayed with a woman called Simone from France. And at that time, she introduced me to the writings of Schroeder, Doe, and the Mother.
Okay.
So I started to read and I started to understand a little bit more about what was going on there.
Yeah.
Why people are here, what show inspires them. And then I thought, oh, there's something interesting going on here. Well, I think I'd like to come back maybe. So I told my friends in the U.S. when I returned back there, I said, there's this place, Auroville. And I'd met some musicians and met some dancers.
Okay. So you felt connection.
Yeah.
And you wanted to come back.
I said, I'll go there for a few months. And so I had to go home. I had to work. I had to make money to come back. So I had to sell my car. I had to buy. My friends said to me, where are you going? And I said, well, I'm going to this place called Auroville in India. And they said, you mad? Crazy. At that time, 1990, just doing the opening up of India, the economic opening up of India to the world.
Right.
They thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
He said,
It's an obvious reaction.
it was, you know, what people had in their minds about India at that time was two things. It was dirty.
Yeah.
And there were poor people here.
Yeah.
And they said, but why are you? I said, well, something about this place inspires me. And I showed them a video. At that time, there was a video called Place the Earth Needs. And I showed them. Some of the people understood, some didn't.
About Auroville.
Yeah.
The future.
The city the earth needs.
Oh, wow.
The city the earth needs.
I love that title.
So that was a bit grand, the title.
And still,
Considering there was nothing here. The city the earth needs. So where is the city? It's still being built.
yeah, I mean, that was the vision.
It's the vision. Exactly.
Right.
Mother said a city of 50,000. We're at only 3,000 something right now.
Yeah.
So we have a ways to go.
Yeah.
Slowly.
Right.
But I was touched by the spirit of the people, and how they welcomed me. And I was at a moment in my life in the States where I thought, I have to change my life. Something has to change. Because I was in a situation of my own making that I didn't want. And I thought I have to do something about this. I was in therapy. So I said to my therapist, I think I'm going to India. And I showed her some photos of the people in the place. And she said, well, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, she's the only person she might have supported you for this. Like,
she didn't say No, she didn't say yes. She didn't say no. Oh, that's how they are.
Yeah.
She said, oh, interesting. And so I came back with a letter of introduction that I had to take to the embassy in Washington. And I almost didn't make it. That was another
Oh,
story.
okay.
I took my letter of introduction from Auroville at that time to the embassy in Washington. And I said, I need an entry visa. And they said, well, we can give you a student visa, a business visa, a yoga visa,
Okay.
but we can't give you an entry visa. He said, we know nothing about Auroville. We don't understand what you're talking about.
Is there a place like
I said, but. And then I knew a young woman who was a journalist in Washington from one of the newspapers in India. And she said, I know somebody at the embassy. He's the cultural attaché. And why don't you go and see him? And he was from Kerala, and he knew something about Auroville. So through him,
you got the.
I got the entry visa. If I hadn't known her to know him,
I think it's all meant.
who knows?
Yeah.
Would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because at that time in Washington, maybe in San Francisco, they knew something about Auroville, but not in
Hardly anyone.
Yeah. So finally, I got my entry visa, and I came back at the end of 1990. And I told my friends in the States, I said, I'm going to go for like a year. And then I didn't go back to the US for 10 years.
Okay.
That was it.
And you started new theater immediately when you came here?
I continued my theater.
Yeah, I mean, I can resume.
I resumed my theater here because that's my work. That's my passion.
So you were the first ones to start the group because
Well, there was those fighter
people.
Yeah, there was a theater going on here when I came back a few years later from 87 to 90. And there was a woman from America named Deborah Lawler and her partner. And they were from the US, and she had done some dance here.
Okay.
Like she created, choreographed, and danced in one of these canyons of Auroville at that time. There were these very surreal type landscapes here. Now it's, like you say, all filled up. And Deborah and her partner, they did a dance performance. And so there was some dance. There were musicians. And there was French theater.
Oh,
It was a French group.
Okay.
So the French theater was here already. And they did mostly Molière. And they traveled around with it, from what I understand. But I was the first, I think, to do English theater. And the first play that I did was a play that I had written called Mommy, I'm Home. Nice. And the play that I had performed in the US. And that was done at La School, what was formerly La School Amphitheater. And then the next time I had an opportunity to direct, we did Waiting for Godot. By Sandy Beckett. We did that in the Sherman Auditorium. That was the first big play that I did for characters. Monster play, but so beautiful.
Yeah. So how do you actually choose or write a play? Like, do you have like a core purpose to it, or it's just very instinctive, or is it all varied, or you follow some kind of a theme?
My great love for English theater is in Shakespeare. So I've done 6 or 7 Shakespeare plays, directed them here,
Including Hamlet.
The Tempest, Midsummer Night's Dream, Romeo and Juliet, The Merchant of Venice. I forget what else. Some others.
All of them, basically.
6 or 7. I'm working my way through the Ouvre. I'm working my way through it.
So that's being your kind of the best one.
The best that, I think for me, the best that you can do in English.
Yeah.
Because of the depth of the expressions, the beauty of the language.
Absolutely.
And for me, because I'm a writer myself, it's always been, I look first at the language, how this writer expresses herself or himself.
Matters a lot, the power of words.
The power of words. And through that, I don't know how you discover, how you think of doing this play or that play. it comes to you. It comes to me.
It just dawns upon.
It dawns upon me. And what I'm inspired to do, sometimes because of what's happening in the world outside, like when we did King Lear, I saw King Lear as a reflection of what was happening in the U.S. with Donald Trump.
Oh,
And the foolishness, the ego of the ruler. I thought perfect,
based on that.
perfect play to do this time.
Amazing.
And I said King Lear, our version of it in the present. So it was modern dress. And somehow I think it worked. We did it at Ali Shakti, on their stage.
I'm sure it got amazing response.
So it's like that. I chose just recently to do a play that I wrote because I thought I haven't done very much of my own work. And I thought I shouldn't waste any more time. Let's do a play that I wrote.
It's now.
And I had the great fortune to have a wonderful collaborator. So I had written this play maybe 10 years ago.
Wow.
And I performed it first in Thailand because I have friends in Thailand who have a performing arts school, high school.
Sure.
And theater group called the More Dakamai Theater Troupe and homeschool and wonderful, inspiring people. And so I had the good fortune to work with them as a director. And I gave them this play and I translated it into Thai. And wrote Thai music, Thai lyrics to the lyrics I'd written.
And then you did the same play.
And then I did the same play for summer, heard it in English here.
Which has been your most favorite?
Of all the plays I've done,
Yes.
Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. The classic. Oh, nice to see.
Fantastic.
Wow.
I think for the beauty of the language and the
whole romance. And, oh my God, yeah. I think that's just magical.
it's something, and when you go into discovery, because rehearsal is a process of discovery, to discover what the play is really about. And Juliet is quite a down-to-earth, very practical young lady.
Right.
She's the one that says, well, if you want to be my companion, you have to marry me, There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
And Romeo is the romantic one. He's the one that wants to run off and get married.
Yeah.
And she said, no.
Let's follow rules.
When are you going to meet me? In what time and what place? And she asked it in that wonderful scene in the garden.
Yeah.
That where he goes back after the party where he's met her and fallen in love. And I love this play. It's so
I think it's something, a part of all our lives. And
I said it in India. Because it's such an Indian story. And young people who fall in love and their parents don't want them to marry. And then finally, when they do marry,
very relatable.
Very relatable. My actors had it.
Yeah.
I understood it immediately.
So for somebody, who is a theater, like who's starting or looking to become a theater artist, a theater actor, or even a director, like what would be your advice? What's the right way to do it? I mean, I'm sure it's when you're
Don't do it. You guys. But if you're foolish enough, if you're crazy enough,
stay foolish.
If you can't not do it, if your passion is performance,
It's too burning.
if you can't be denied, then learn about the craft. Learn about the craft. Have some respect.
For education.
Yes, have some respect for those who have come before you. And learn from them. That's why they did it. So they can pass it on to the next generation.
And create so much impact.
And then when you know many things about it, then forget that off. Just forget it. Learn it, understand it, and forget it.
Right.
and follow your
And then start from like a blank canvas.
yes,
Yeah.
but you have in your mind already.
And the subconscious, there is that feed.
Yes, who has come before you, what they have done. What is technique? What is the technique of acting? What is the technique of play writing? How do I form a play? What shape does it take? You know, all these things you never have to think of. Yeah. So it takes some time. And of course, for an actor, you never stop learning.
But do you think theater culture is kind of fading off now? No, with so much media, movies and OTTs that you have.
Yeah, but these people who do movies, the actors, they have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And usually they start
from
in the theater.
But like I'm saying in terms of audience, do you think there is still an audience for theater?
Absolutely, yeah. Of course, or else like, how could I do it?
I mean, I'm saying like overall, because
Yes, because
it's very popular before, but now that you have the big banner movies,
it's 2000 and more years old. I think if it survived this long, it's probably going to survive.
Yeah.
Because people have a need to gather around the fire to tell stories.
Yeah.
And be in the presence of those.
Because the origin of community.
Yes. Well, I think that's what you're still doing if you do theater. There's 3 elements of theater that you need. There's the audience, there's the actor, and there's the story. So those are the 3 original elements. And once you have those 3 elements, you connect as the actor, as the, what shall I say? The go-between between the higher and the lower. You're here on earth, but you're getting inspiration from above, and you're getting strength and support from below. And you're like a battery.
Nice.
You're the battery which is receiving from above, because when I write, I don't know where this writing comes from.
Yeah. It's so natural.
I know after it's written, I've written a play, but how I sat and wrote it, sometimes I have no memory even.
Yeah, I mean, you read it and you're like, have I done this?
Have I done this?
So this happened to me with the book. I can so relate to that.
I'm sure. How did I do this? Where did this come from? I have no memory of this. I can remember for the last play I just did, this Peter Pan play. It's called Peter Pan Lost and Found. It's a modern adaptation of the original story of Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. I can remember sitting in front of the computer, and I had the original story on the left, and I started to write on the right, and that's all I remember. But then I had a play.
I know. So magical, right? I think it comes from the fact that you're also surrendered as an instrument.
Yes.
Yeah, as a divine instrument. So the energy flows through you.
Yeah.
And then you have no personal identity attached to it.
Right. You just receive and you create. You receive the inspiration of reality.
So, I mean, in terms of, I've been very curious to know, in terms of movies versus theater, the impact that stays with the audience. Do you think there is a difference in that? Like, what's your view on it? Like, how different a theater is?
They're different experiences.
Yeah.
Although they share a lot of elements in common.
Yeah.
And of course, coming from the US, I'm a big fan of movies.
Yeah.
But not that I'm, not,
of course,
not entranced by film. I grew up watching movies. So I'm a big fan of movies,
Sure.
Especially in high school, Friday night, date night.
Yeah.
Saturday night, we'll go with our friends to the movies.
Of course.
So I grew up with these wonderful, first black and white, of course. And then movies on since the 40s, 50s, 60s, all of that. But somehow, for me, the experience of having a live audience is what keeps me going as far as storytelling is concerned. I want to have the experience when you're on stage, as sometimes I have been myself, and you're telling the story through the character, and you can feel the audience is with you.
Oh, wow.
When you feel that energy, so it becomes, the audience co-creates the story with you.
That's so profound.
It's
I love that.
no longer just your story, but they are co-creating it with you because you have an exchange of energy and you can feel it when you've got them.
Yeah.
You can feel that
Vibration.
vibration in the body, getting goosebumps when I think of it, because that's the moment you live for.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the thing that keeps you going, those moments when you know I've got them. You know, they're really listening. You know, you can hear a pin drop and all of that stuff.
And that you don't get in the movie.
No, that you don't get. You get something else. You get the shared experience of you and other audience members. Watch
Collective viewing
it's a
experience.
collective viewing experience, but the experience of watching a movie is still an isolated experience.
Yeah.
You know, you can walk out, you can be sitting there with popcorn, you can, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's just different.